Hey everyone, welcome to the ESTNN podcast. My name is Manny. I will be your host for today, and I am joined by Albert Cohen, currently data analyst for Misfits, formerly analyst for TSM at 2019 spring. Thank you for joining us. How are you feeling? How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm glad that we were able to get you to come in here and talk to us, not just about where you are currently with Misfits, right? But obviously you have some knowledge of TSM, and that's a very hot
I
topic.
might.
That's a very hot
I
topic
might.
right now. But so I just wanted to get to start off with um, what is a data analyst, right? Like some people might think like all analysts are the same. Like, is that specifically the case, or is there a difference to what you do?
So, in my opinion, teams are getting more strict on what their guidelines for an analyst or data analyst is. So, something that I'm seeing a lot more of is the idea that a data analyst is someone on the team that primarily works with the Riot APIs.
Yeah.
Those APIs provide typically like match history data or timeline data. So when someone dies or buys something or takes a tower or something like that, all that is available within the Riot APIs. And it's part of the data analyst like task to be able to, create a database or make sure that all that data is in check. Um, Depending on the org, there's more efforts or less efforts. Like in TSM, it was a lot more focus on building out databases and like resources for players to be able to use so that they can scout globally or something like that. But there were obviously like in game or uh, prep or anything like that before the next weekend that could be provided that's not necessarily like actual hard coded data, but rather this is a trend that we see, right? This
Right.
is how they play, this is how we should play against them. Look out for this ward, like for instance Echo Fox and um, spring playoffs, they had a specific warding pattern for how they warded early games. So solo would ward like at 130 or something like that near a scuttle in topside, and it's in the same area every game. So if you ever want to gank around that, you're always able to because you know that he wards in that location exactly.
Right.
So those are like small things that can provide an edge in game because it can really destroy his lane phase if he's on a specific champion where an early death can really torpedo it. But the idea of a data analyst really varies from team to team, but I'm seeing a lot more of the we need someone that knows how to deal with the right API and stuff like that, which I think it's great for people to learn, but I think that it is a misused tool. Like there is a lot more that could be pulled than just like what are people playing, because pro builds exists,
Right.
right? Build blitz.gg and all those websites exists. There's a lot more you can do than just pull data and be like, okay, this is it. Like I have my own ideas I won't share, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah. But teams are also like investing more into it, right? Like I would say like you can get at least like five, six, $700 a month just doing data runs for any of the teams available in LEC or LCS, LCK maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get that going, but
Yeah, of
good
course.
luck.
But I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, right? Because a lot of people also think that the analyst role is kind of like the, oh, hey, it's me, the one that looks at the games and analyzes it, right? But it's not
Mhm.
necessarily that, right? Like let's say like the what's the difference between like I guess a coach, right? Like this split Irene for CLG, right? That's like more strategic
Mhm.
than like your Reddit analysts, right? We use that term very loosely, but it's obviously not the same, right? It's like just different levels and that, or like what would you say?
An assistant coach will have way more direction that he gives or she gives to the analysts and the rest of the support staff,
Yeah,
and they really are the second voice on the team. So the head coach is really the one, typically not in CLG, I don't think, because well then I don't know if he's like that great at breaking down how the game is played.
Yeah.
Maybe he's breaking down other things. I actually don't know how he works, but I would say an assistant coach works in conjunction with the head coach to make sure that players are learning about macro or micro in any single way. Um, Depending on the coach, like the reviews are really important. The ideas of what people need to work on is really important, right? Um, there's so many layers to how a coach, an assistant coach or a head coach interacts with the team because it's
Right.
5 players that you're dealing with for over 60 hours a week at some cases even more, some cases less. In EU, it's likely less, being that they actually scrim less in general. Um, yeah, it's just there is a lot more responsibility for an assistant coach and a head coach than analysts typically. Um, but like specific analysts like K's can like lead team discussions and do whatever before
Yeah.
moving across the ocean. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like it depends on the role that is allowed for you to take
Yeah.
because different organizations will limit you on what you're able to do. But some organizations will allow you to interact with players more or lead discussions or lead reviews. It really depends on how you are with players and how you communicate. But in addition to that, just how much the coaching staff believes it'll benefit the team, right?
Right.
Um,
And
yeah.
in that case, would like your rank also matter, like heavily, like depending on the team? Like it's just like
It's your understanding of the game. There are players that like I think I'm like plat right now. I like play like one solo queue game a week because I have like 1 hour to myself.
yeah.
But like my peak this year was like D397 LP. I don't think I'm bad at the game,
Yeah.
but I think that like competitive knowledge, there's a lot more competitive knowledge that you can use that's not in solo queue, right? You can
Right.
there are coaches or analysts that are like gold or something like gold 2 or gold 1, but they're actually like really good and understand like how like specific lanes should work and specific mechanics should work and how players should play out games on a pro level. Because maybe they don't have the time or they actually don't have the skill to be able to do it like in the moment, but in retrospect or from a second view they'd be like a professional like viewer, right? Like
Yeah.
imagine someone's playing chess, right? You're not going to be the best, but you can break down the move and why it was good or why it was bad and look forward into the future. But if you're actually playing the game, maybe you just suck dick. Like who knows, right? Like maybe you
Right.
actually can't get past like the first round of a tournament. But from an analyst level, you can bring someone up from, maybe fourth place to third place, which is pretty big, right? It's a
Right.
huge increase, especially when there are like 10 slots. So it really depends. I will say a lot of like the Reddit discussions is just like the view of this caught my eye. I really think that this was a huge fuck up, and this is what lost the entire game. And maybe it is.
Right.
Maybe the Cody's son Fnatic play is what ruined the game back in like 2017 or 16 or whatever the fuck that year was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, 2017. Yeah, but think about it this way: if they, stop Fnatic from killing them in their base, they actually would have won the game, which means that the throw was actually like forced an error on the other hand of the team, and now you have a different situation completely, right? Like where
Right.
Immortals is out of groups and people won't talk about that play outside of like any other case. But now Cody's son has his like respect back after being like one of the best ADCs in
Yeah.
NA, like literally one of the best ADCs to actually play in North America, have huge errors, but still not be worse than Rikara, but not play at Worlds for even a single game, which is 100 Thieves, super respectful, which is kind of funny because Clutch Gaming is the one that knocked 100 Thieves out, I'm pretty sure, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, like if you ask Redditors, what do you think of Cody's son this year before this split? What do you think they say? Like he was pretty shit.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
like, oh,
feel
he did
bad
all
for
right.
him. I feel bad for him in 100 Thieves, but he makes so many mistakes. And like this year, this split, he's just like, in fact, he hasn't died more than once in like 3 weeks, including a full best of five.
That's five.
Where,
Yeah,
yeah, like he's not making. I think he got the message that you shouldn't die so much, right? Um,
yeah. He
but
should go for the low risk plays.
yeah, I will say like a Reddit analyst can be extremely short sighted. Um, like they really don't come up with many original things a lot of the time. But I
Yeah,
will say that players will read what they say, and staff will take like into account what redditors say, because they themselves are going to be biased. So maybe they like, I don't know the reason, but I'm just formulating for a reason why someone might take
yeah,
someone on Reddit said
yeah,
something, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I really need to see the other side, right? And
yeah.
like maybe that's true, but I honestly think that like
It's just very
it
superficial, kind of like
it's it
analysis.
yeah, like I don't know. So someone pointed out that Smoothie question mark pinged Spica when he went to base off of like a herald on the other team. It's like, okay, what does that do? Like that is what destroyed TSM. This that question mark ping that shows how bad the culture is. Honestly, like I'm surprised that like Smoothie's even playing. They should have subbed in treats, especially after that ping. Like that's like the Reddit attitude. Like it's like,
Yeah, it's like they finding like grabbing a magnifying glass to like the smallest of things that might actually not have had like that big
yeah,
of an
and I'm
impact.
not saying they're always wrong. They're not
Right,
always
right,
wrong,
right.
but the things are over dramatized for no reason at all.
Yeah,
Your favorite team is fucking hitting like it's just garbage. I wonder why they subbed in a player with 2 games of experience into a full best of 5 in summer, not spring. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think that's the way to go personally,
yeah,
but like maybe it's a question mark ping. You're right. Like maybe that's like just showing how bad the culture is.
yeah. That was the mental boom
Yeah,
aspect of it.
that was the moment when Pika knew that he's like, I give up. We're not going to Worlds, boys.
That's it. So, all right. So now that we've been talking a little bit about TSM, TSM was your first LCS team. Can you like talk us through like how did you get there? Like why TSM? How TSM?
Um, Originally, I wasn't gonna work on TSM that split. I was actually gonna supposedly work with a team called Clutch Gaming. Yeah, if anyone recalls, they were like super like, we're gonna be data focused, like,
Yeah,
we're gonna use models to win the LCS. Houston Rockets is a super data team. We're gonna do the same shit. Yeah, that was complete bullshit. They wanted us to like build like models and like answer 3 large data science questions. Now I didn't write a literal letter of code ever before that day. And then I decided, fine, I'm gonna do this shit. And I emailed, I think the guy's name was like Yuhan or something.
yeah,
And I learned R in a month. I was like, hey, I know it's been a month later, but here's like this model. Here's the answers to the questions, and like this is great. We're really interested. We don't have the staff to onboard you right now, but we would love to have you join in. That was pretty cool. At the same time, they fired 2 head coach and his assistant coach, right? D-Lim
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
someone else, and then McScragg was brought up from academy to help the LCS team and the academy team.
Yep.
And then as things kept moving and moving and moving, I was asked literally the week of GGS A versus them's playoffs. No, not GGS. I don't know who they were playing. CGA versus someone. They were playing someone in playoffs that
Yeah.
week, and that Sunday, the Sunday before their playoff match of their academy team, they asked me. They called me, and they're like, I know like we haven't really done much, but let's how do you feel about becoming the head coach for the academy team the week of playoffs? Now I was like no, because that is Ridiculous. That was the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. It's like we're not gonna jump into the pool. We're just gonna like drop you off in the middle of the ocean. Just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
This
don't
is
even
good.
get
This is
swim practice. You
no. It
just
was
get
just like no
thrown
board,
in.
no nothing. Like we, I know you don't even know how our players like speak or act or draft or anything like that. Like you have no insight into our academy team because you actually have never interfaced with them in any single manner at all. But here's 4 days before the playoff match. Do you think you can be a head coach for them? To which I said no, because they also just fired a head coach earlier that split, and they don't have the best attrition record on staff. I will
Yeah.
say, even to this day, it continues that way, right?
Yeah.
And basically, I was just like, "This is cool, but like, let's try this after." They got like 0-3 that playoff match or something like that, or maybe 3-1. I don't know. It was pretty sad, and I was like, yeah, I would love to help, but I can't. Then what happens? Postseason, like some shit happens, doesn't work. I'm not gonna be on CG after 6 months of them telling me we want to have you, which is whatever.
Yeah.
And I was pretty boned. I was actually about to quit like trying to be esports shit because I have a full-time job and I make decent enough money to not hate myself.
Yeah.
So esports is always a passion thing, right?
Yeah.
And this past December I was like, if I don't get anything, I'm out. 100 Thieves never got back to me. A couple of other orgs didn't get back to me, and then TSM opened up applications, and I was like, "Fuck that! I'm applying right now."
Yeah.
They sent me like a request. Can you do like this? Can you answer like these 3 questions? I gave the answer to them like less than like 24 hours, and it was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's sick. Now you have these 3 more questions, and then I finished that in another 24 hours. So within 48 hours, I completed all 6 assignments. And then they're like, "Oh, this is cool. We'll let you know." And then I had an interview with Zeeks and Sev. Then that went pretty well, and I was told that I'm gonna have a call with Parth, and I was like kind of shitting myself because I was like,
Because it's Parth, right?
I'm like, is this another interview?
Yeah.
Like really? The split so soon. And then the night before, like at like 3 a.m., I'm like, all right, I think that's like the call for like the you got the job. And then it was. So then I got the job. And that was pretty cool. So that's
Yeah.
how I ended up on TSM. It was a lot of work with understanding how the API works and like what I can do with it. I have a
Yeah.
lot of like I had my own like portfolio with like 10 different things and like things that I could do and databases that I've made and stuff like that that were pretty cool. Um but yeah, it's just like that was my thing. Like that was the shot that I took and I made it. Other teams got back to me after like the interview process was done with me and TSM.
So
So
yeah.
sorry to some of the EU teams, but um I think TSM was just the like I'm happy that CG turned me down because I got to work with TSM.
Right.
That was really cool, right? Getting into TSM.
Yeah. So now we
Yeah.
go into the culture because also before like all of this we saw the whole controversy on Reddit of Zeke's himself like being like, oh, TSM, nah, screw that, like I don't want to work with them. And then like shortly before he was appointed into the manager role, how was it for
He
you?
was I mean, I expected it to be super serious, but personally, I think Zeke's has enjoyed his time a lot on TSM. Like, I think he's had a lot of fun
Yeah.
and has like a good bit of success. I don't think he's done exactly what he wants, um, but I think that TSM is filled with hard workers, and if you're not gonna work hard, it's not worth it.
Right.
Right, like nothing's like like they're really serious about how they learn how to play the game, how they play the game, how they scrim,
Right.
how they act with each other. There's a lot of like fun in between, right? Like they didn't ask shit. Like if you just heard what they said in one scrim match, like man, that like it was so fun. Like
Yeah.
honestly, the best scrim experience ever was with them, and I've watched a lot of scrims, like a lot. They're the most fun team, and it's primarily off of like BB. Like Broken Blade is
Yeah.
really funny. Bjerg is funny before games. Sven's funny before games. But Broken Blade, like Sergen, is so funny.
Just throughout it, like
I miss if there's like the players that I miss on TSM are like Sergen, Bjerg, and Acadian, and then like the bot lane. And I'm not saying the bot lane is like bad. It was like really
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um
you're not trying to like talk shit
yeah.
about anyone. It's just like
Yeah,
in
no.
your ranking. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I primarily interacted with like Zach and Sev and Lustboy a lot. We would like
Yeah.
talk about the game and like scrims and like things like that. Um, and like Zeke's was always available, but he had a lot of stuff to do, so it was like hard for
Yeah.
him to like tend to like one of the analysts, right?
Right.
But I was the only no, I was one of two analysts for the LCS team. It was me and one other, and then it was Sev as the head analyst, and then he was also a positional coach for TSM for TSM
Yeah.
Bjergsen. Um, and Lustboy helped bot lane. I think Peter helped jungle at some point, but I don't remember. Um, like he was more involved towards playoffs, like at the end of the playoffs,
Yeah.
especially. But yeah, every player was like involved with like different staff. Like Zach was, I think, top lane. Um, yeah, I think that was pretty much the mix. And like
Right.
Zeke's oversaw the whole operation. Parth was like connected, but not really. Like he wasn't like in like practices leading anything. It wasn't like that at all. It was really a lot of Zeke's operation.
Yeah.
And I felt comfortable, but segmented because I was remote. But
Right.
yeah, like we had a good amount of insight into things that happened to the team.
Yeah.
Like I would talk to the sports psychologist a lot about like certain players and their mindsets and stuff like that. Because like there are people that are in a high stress environment, especially like Acadian, right? Like he
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be the team jungler, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he was like very early on the
Yeah.
split, and then split started like shit. Um, the top 2v2 meme was like a thing. It was just like
Yeah.
there's a lot that was worked on to create that top two roster that honestly really should have won. Like we could have won 4 out of 5 games, like easily in the
Right.
finals, and we won 2. Um, so like we really should have won game 3,
Yeah.
but there was one mechanical issue that happened, and then that game was lost, and then we all know what happened in game 4 and game 5. So
Yeah. Of
yeah,
course. And I was gonna yeah definitely ask you about obviously top two, like that must have felt like an awesome achievement, and especially a reverse sweep for against Cloud9, right? Because it was
yeah.
always known, right? If TSM advanced, they weren't playing Team Liquid. They were obviously going to play like Cloud9. Like for you as the analyst, like how did you feel like either watching those games, like going into those games, like was it confidence that you guys could beat Cloud9, or was it very like daunting thing
No,
to say?
I think we shouldn't have even lost the first 2 games against Cloud9. Um, our ideology behind uh, so we played Vayne Zyra, all right, no Vayne Lulu into the Sona Taric lane, and it started off pretty well, but I think it was because in scrims we never played against the Hecarim Zoe. Um,
Yeah.
that was really problematic. The Zoe was more problematic than the Hecarim, honestly. But basically, the idea is that we need space for like Vayne to move and Lulu to be able to protect at the same time and like help buffer up and turn her into this like crazy fucking carry. People fell behind in lanes that they really shouldn't have, and the game was moving forward in a weird pace, and because it was moving too fast and we like disrespected it's not that we disrespected the Sonoteric pick, it's that we actually just beat them so many times in scrims. Like we like barely lost to Sonoteric ever.
Yeah, it was more of like a, oh, we're so comfortable that you kind of like let your
And, and,
guard
we-
down
and,
type of
and
thing.
we were shitting on everyone else in scrims that week. Like we were dumping on everyone. Like Team Liquid honestly looked like shit that week. Oh my god. If we played against them, it would have been like a 3-0, like no question. They definitely got better in the week after, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty sad. Um, yeah, we thought we should have just smashed Cloud9. Um, there were definitely mistakes done by certain players, and then once we knocked the Sonoteric out, and really just rallied together behind Bjergsen, and then also Acadian playing very well in game 4 and game 5. The games were pretty much over, right?
Yeah.
Cloud9 could have won, we could have won, but we did. So yeah, that's
Right.
kind of what happened. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was the way that series went. That was a wild series. I'm not gonna lie. After game 2, I was like, we should not be losing these games. Like this is
Yeah.
fucking nuts. And then yeah, Zeke's rallied it back. I don't know. If we weren't in week 1, if we weren't playing against Echo Fox, I don't think we would have won against Cloud9. I'll say that.
Yeah. So it was kind of like the platform to be able to like rally your like morale and everything.
Not only that, it was just getting used to the best of 5 in that roster, and then Acadian didn't have any playoff experience on the LCS stage.
Right.
So that was huge for him. Like his evolution within the Echo Fox series itself was pretty important. Um, yeah, that was pretty huge.
Right. And then yeah, you kind of go, imagine being in your first playoff series, playoffs ever, and then making it to the finals, and like you said, right, like
And
getting as close as you were.
he was a fucking beast in the finals.
Yeah, he
He was
arguably the
honestly one of
best.
the no, I would say Bjergsen was the best, obviously.
But
It's actually not that obvious. Like he has had lackluster best of 5 versus Clutch Gaming this
yeah,
past weekend. Sven had an amazing weekend. Um, BB did not have a good weekend, but
yeah,
in that series, it was definitely like Bjerg, then Acadian,
kind of like
then BB and Sven. So Sven gets railed for like the E mistake on Ezreal, and he definitely lost a lot of this momentum in that game. But I will say this: BB had similar mistakes that could have won the game. So
yeah,
I mean, it's hard. It's the final stage,
right.
and yeah,
I mean, it's kind of
but
like what we were talking about earlier too, right? It's the same thing with like Cody's son, right? Like the whole idea of like, wow, we have like this huge monumental like or like this play, right? And it doesn't go
yeah,
according to plan, and it's like, oh well, they're just gonna harp on that play, kind of like Arrow this past weekend, right? Like that huge lead Optic had, and Arrow getting caught on none other than Ezreal.
I mean, Optic could not sink a single fucking wave. 4 barons, 3 barons, 4 barons. Yeah, it was.
Forbearance, yeah.
It
Nice
was.
forbearance.
I was like, it was pretty sad. It was pretty sad.
I
I'll
think
be honest.
everyone felt that way. I
I
don't
think it
think.
was they play. I think they played against Team Liquid, and they had the same issue earlier,
Yeah.
and they lost because in a Baron push, literally, the second Crown goes to push out the side wave, his entire team ints it. Like the second he touched a minion, like his
Welcome
entire
to
team
NA.
just inted it. And then in this, and like I guess it didn't happen in practice enough that they like rallied behind that mistake. And it happened in that series, and honestly, probably started the tilt. But
Yeah.
they were definitely like draft issues as well as like just play issues that
Yeah.
existed. But I'm happy that Optic made it to playoffs finally because they should
Yeah.
have been there already a couple times.
Yeah. I think it was like a nice rally of like, hey, this team that you didn't expect anything from, like is actually doing something. It's like moving
Yeah.
up in the world. But all right, so let's go back. So finals happens. Everyone knows 3-2. TSM doesn't win. What happens with you? Because you obviously were not part of the TSM kind of like roster afterwards.
So the weird thing was most teams that were looking for staff were looking for staff like in the middle of playoffs. Like Cloud9, I think, posted an application thing like for a data analyst role in like the middle of that month.
Yeah.
I think even before their match. And I was like, I messaged them. I was like, I don't know. I would like to apply, but good luck this weekend. Like, well, I'm not gonna apply till after like playoffs and like I know what happens with me, but like I want like just keep me in mind. Um and then same thing. There were like four other orgs or three other orgs that were hiring like analysts or like support staff in that realm.
Yeah.
And I didn't apply to any of them because I was still in contract. Um and then like 2 weeks before the LCS regular season, like literally like 2 weeks, like end of April, like 2 days before May or something like that. I don't even
Yeah.
remember. It was really close to um like LCS again.
Yeah.
And like all the rosters are done, all the sports staff's hired, and they're like and then Parth is just like gives me the call. It's like, yeah, we're not gonna continue with you. And I was like, all right, okay. I kinda expected that. And it felt kind of bad because like you didn't have to wait that long.
Right.
Uh, and then they were hiring like positional coaches, which was a downgrade from my role, but like I didn't apply for that. I could have applied, but just that was a waste. So that felt pretty bad. And then most orgs had sports staff. I helped another team in NA up until the point where I got picked up by Misfits, and then here I am now.
Right.
Um, yeah,
With a young squad too. How has that been? That transition of kind of like these veterans
yeah,
and stuff to hey, here's five rookies that are
yeah.
very untested.
I spent a week on the team, and then so as and others were like being subbed out after like a week or two, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, what just happened? I didn't think it was a bad decision at all.
Yeah.
I just think it could have been handled better because we had certain ideas in mind, and we actually did pretty well in like scrims and stuff. Like the week that we went 0-2, which was a
Yeah.
pretty essential week for us to make playoffs, we like won 80% of our scrims. Like we were smashing,
Yeah.
and then we fucking get an early game lead and just run it down, like in early game. Like it's not even that we kept an early game lead. It was just like, oh, we're starting to get rolling, and then boof,
Yeah.
and then into it versus I think it was Origin. Ah man, Nuke gets solo killed. Like his lane's Dunzo. Leader goes in, misses his E, so he doesn't get a Q reset. Dies another 2 times, and then game is over.
Yeah.
He is 1-4. His team's not with a lead really outside of like a kill somewhere else. It was pretty sad. Next day gets crushed 0-2. Really hard for us to get into playoffs now, but still possible. Then we go 0-2 again, even with a crazy lead against G2, and boof, playoffs are done, and now we're locked out playoffs. So this week should be a good week for the players. I don't know what our roster is going to be yet, but
Right.
it's definitely been a roller coaster ride. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think management in Misfits isn't bad. I think it's decent. Management in esports in general, like most teams, it's hard to discern what's good and what's bad
Right.
because a lot of teams are short staffed, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't think TSM was managed very well, at least from like a staff side.
Right.
Like in my time on Misfits, I felt more onboarded in 5 weeks than I did with TSM and over a full split.
Right. Including playoffs.
Yeah, including 3 rounds of playoffs. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely
And
weird.
yeah, and do you think like if you guys would have won finals, do you think you stay with TSM? Like
Probably,
like just
probably because MSI would have continued, and then like the time to drop off someone would be
very limited, like it wouldn't be like
limited. Yeah, and then I mean, actually, I don't know. Um, basically, I think the only erroneous thing I've ever done in TSM's eyes, like in the org's eyes, was I came to LA in week 9 for week 9 and in the first quarterfinal round. So I was there in person for those.
yeah.
And the entire time I was there, I was trying to like just get connected to the guys that I've been working with for a full split. And there was never a moment where I met all 5 players. I met Sergen, Bjerg, and Sven. That was it. And I met them for about 20 minutes. Bjerg knew who I was by face, and he said hi to me in the lounge area.
Yeah.
But like, I wasn't in. I don't know what I can say, but I was not in a lot of things that happened, and I never went to the TSM house or anything like that.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Right.
but that was like that was like the error that happened. But like if anyone was in my shoes, I think they do exactly what I do. If anything, they would go earlier, and I would have went earlier if the opportunity arose. But
Right.
I work 2 jobs, so it's a little harder.
No, yeah, that
It's a
totally
little
makes
harder to
sense.
like take off for like a week or two.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
again, it's not like you can be like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go to Berlin real quick to be with the team," like with Misfits, right? Like you don't have
yeah,
that. Like,
and yeah, like I just started a new job in like real life, right? Like
yeah,
in places where Misfits actually doesn't pay bad at all. Misfits pays double what I got paid in TSM. But I'm not saying numbers. Anyways,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, pay is still pretty shit for someone that works a lot of hours a month. Like you'll get paid less than like you'll get paid like $10 for an hour, and you're working 40 hours a month. That can happen in a lot of teams. I'm not saying I got paid that. Like
Right.
I was lucky enough to get paid a little more than that, but I know like people getting paid like 4 or 5, 6, $700 for like a month's work, like on a
Yeah.
contract for some LCS team, and I'm like, dude,
That's not
dude.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's funny because we see like the evolution of esports as like this thing that just has blown up, and everyone imagines that you're in esports now, you're getting that big money, and it's like that's not the reality. It's not quite
Yeah,
the
no,
reality.
it's a bit different.
Yeah,
Esports is very top heavy in terms of salary, right? Like a good player will make a lot of money. Now even bad players will make like close to 6 figures, if not 6 figures at least. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
staff is gonna eat
Now,
ramen.
yeah. Staff ain't getting that
I mean,
expensive.
I actually don't know how much head coaches and assistant coaches make, but I'm curious. I'll try to find out at some point.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing to know. I just know that for Song, when he was in TSM last year, was 300 was the reported number. That was then quickly shorthanded after they failed to make finals that
Yeah,
first split.
no, that was that report was actually incorrect. I was the one that
Okay.
reported. I was the one that reported the song leaving, not leaving, getting demoted,
Yeah.
and then my report got, well, someone came out with a very similar report
Yeah.
very soon after, but added the one line saying that the pay was decreased,
Yeah.
which was found to not be true
Okay. Okay.
according to TSM press statement. So someone got newsroomed. I don't know if you watch a show.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like that was Song, but like who knows what other
Right,
like
right,
coaches
right, right.
Reaper to Kane probably make the most. Zebutine probably like Weldon and
They,
Song on
Zeke's.
Echo Fox probably make the least. I would say Zeke did
Yeah,
pretty. I think Zeke's
a
did
good amount,
a
right?
good
Yeah,
amount. He's pretty wanted.
yeah,
I'm not saying the rest aren't wanted. I'm just saying the orgs that
yeah.
I've met with, I don't know if they're spending that type of money with their rosters.
Right. Yeah, no, and it's again. So let's go back kind of to the TSM issue, right? This
Yeah,
split. This is after you've left, right?
yeah.
But you've known the players at least for 20 minutes. But
No,
kind of.
I've watched them.
Oh
I've watched
yeah,
them.
obviously.
Like
Yeah,
I've watched. I've listened to them for hours and hours. I've talked to a bunch of them, countlessly. Just like in
yeah,
person was like the only lacking
yeah, of course.
area.
Uh, but kind of like to you,
Yeah.
where did TSM go wrong? Like, what happened this split where it was all like a top two team, not even surpassing quarterfinals?
Um. So problems start in. Actually, I don't think the problem starts when they try out Grig and Acadian. I think that was fine. They understood what their strengths were and what their weaknesses were.
Yeah,
Then when they played against EU and they put Grig in for most of the games, and they put Acadian for one game, and Acadian smashes the shit out of Fnatic, and then they put Grig in again, and now he's playing not. Then the team isn't as proactive, and they don't have that like inner driving force. But the issues that come up with the way the players are, this is pretty simple. I believe that Acadian's a very confidence-oriented player, and if he doesn't have confidence, it's when his play is lacking in strength, right? But when he
yeah,
has confidence, he is actually one of the top two, top three junglers, like in game, in any game.
yeah,
Um, like at his peak, he's like the best or second best jungler in NA, just because like he can get really creative with his pathing, or find like really good gank opportunities and really just push his champion to its limit. Um, what happened in the rest of the split is there are players that have very strong voices within TSM,
yeah,
and basically my thought is this exactly. When they went to put in Spica, it's because Spica is an aggressive player like Acadian, but I guess they think that he wouldn't falter like Acadian will falter. Issue is he's playing against a weaker field, and he probably doesn't have as many games of practice against high level junglers. Like maybe he's playing against 100 Thieves, maybe he's playing against Optic and other like mid to lower tier teams that might not be able to scrim against the C9 TSMs and others,
yeah,
right? And this split it's CLG as well, right? Team Liquid, that's really like half the table gone, right? The other
right,
teams, let's say they scrim with each other, now you're out of scrims because someone's scrimming their academy team. Well, maybe you're scrimming against TSM Academy because they were the best team in the league in the first half of the season, and then all of a sudden it started tanking at some point, right? So like there are some issues in my opinion with the logic done and taken to do so, right? Because
yeah.
yes, he smurfed in like the first round of playoffs against what, Echo Fox Academy or TLA or one of those.
I
TLA.
think yeah, I think it was TLA.
It was TLA. I don't think that's a good gauge for like how good Spica is, because guess what? You had Greg as a top laner and he did fine, and then the next series he gets completely obliterated against GGSA. Darshan literally wins the game like for his team. Game 2, game 3, game 4, and people are like calling for Acadian's head after he had an amazing game 1. Game 2, like he literally can't do anything because he's playing Skarner. Top laner is like 0-3. He has no pressure. He can't contest anything in top side of the map. He can't do anything on the bot side of the map. And then like game 3 and game 4 were just like really bad for like a whole team standpoint. Um he really got shafted, in my opinion. I really believe that if he played against Clutch Gaming, game 1 and 2 are not as disastrous as they were. Speaker was like 2-8 and like 5 or some shit
Yeah.
after the first 2 games, and then the third game he does okay, and he has like a lot of assists, and then game 4 he has like 16 assists, but 6 deaths, 1 kill, and like overall like
Right.
he had a pretty shit KDA. He wasn't very active in early phases of the game. He completely misread the map in game 1, game 2. Like game 1, he could have completely blown open like at minute like 340. They get a ward onto Lyra bot lane, and Sedge can do one of 2 things. One being get both scuttle crabs, second being help top lane snowball into a Kled Karma matchup. If Kled gets ahead in that matchup, especially with a gank, and let's say Karma loses her flash, she's really fucking doomed before 6 and before like other players can like TP, because you have a GP on the enemy team as well that you have to keep in mind and you have to contain. So like there's a lot of elements in this game that like you
Right.
are on a timer. Even if you're playing Sejuani, you're not aiming for the level 6. You have this opportunity. You can get the fucking Scuttle Crab, or you can help your top laner in a lane that has no vision. You already know that it has no vision. Even if it does, by the time you get up there, the vision is dead. Like, you really can open the fuck this game. But Spico doesn't read the map that well. His team gets completely shit on because his mid's in a losing matchup and is able to stay even. Um, yeah, it shit went sideways that game. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Second game, I don't know what that was, but just remake. Game 3, I think he was fine. Game 4 was questionable. Game 3 wasn't even fine. He died before Baron. The amount of times TSM died at like 19 minutes and 30 seconds of that series was a little too high. Like, I'm pretty sure they did it 3 out of 4 games, if not 4 out of 4 games.
Yeah, that's how they
Um,
would lose. They lost like every single Baron at like 20 minutes because of that too.
yeah, like the issues that Spica had with understanding where to be on the map at certain times, like when Smoothie pings him with question mark ping, should he have been basing there? Is that when the timing? Is that the timing that he should have like aimed to base in? I don't know. Give it a closer look, right? But
Right.
I really think that the fact that he's a fucking rookie in that game, you're only going to make matters worse, especially when you're already messing up so many other fundamental parts of the game. Like, they really didn't play the map well at all as a team. So
Right.
many players really dropped the ball. But in addition to that, you're really hurting your chances because you're putting a guy that played softball his whole life into like a fucking Yankee playoff game, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Just
what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's not like, unless he's literally like the fucking Karate Kid, like at the end of the fucking movie. Like, no, you don't do that. That's not okay.
right.
And people are gonna be like, this is gonna be traumatizing to his career. No, it's fucking not. He's played 4 or 5. He's played 6 games with the LCS roster. Granted, the first 2 look like shit. The next 2 look like shit, and one of the last 2 looks half decent.
Yeah, and it's like
Maybe he doesn't get picked up for an LCS team. Maybe he does. I don't know. It's
not
not
your
my
area.
discretion.
Yeah.
But I will say that teams know how good this player can be. Players constantly talk about how good Speak is as a player, but that doesn't mean that he's great in an LCS setting, and that doesn't mean he's ready.
Right.
Now, in addition to that, they brought in Treats and Tactical as subs. I know Tactical is a really good player. Treats is a really good player, and I think, and again, this is a hypothesis time, and I will say that there is merit behind it, but you can only say that much. Sven specifically tilted last year against Clutch Gaming and can actually like really tilt versus certain teams and like tunnel at certain picks. And I think that's the reason why they took Tactical and Treats, just in case he like has one of those moments. But now your rookie has literally everything on the line because he can't rely on, getting tapped out for someone else.
Right.
I think if Acadian's there, they'd sub Speak out after game 1 or game 2. I think that TSM wins at least game 4.
Yeah, to force a game 5 type of thing.
Like at least like show that you're like trying to paddle.
Yeah.
You
And I think it's also like tough because you could see the nerves on Spica just with like fundamental mechanical things too, right? He missed so many Sejuani ultimates and stuff. And again, I'm not an LCS player. I can't tell you like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I could have hit that. Of course not, right? I'm not there because I'm not there, right? I'm not that level. But you could definitely see that like kind of like inexperience really fucked them up because of that.
I mean, we don't know for
Right.
sure because it's a mechanical decision. And it's like I'm aiming here or there. Mechanical misplays or can be really like obviously bad. But I think that the mechanical misplays were like 20% or 10% of his like issues. There were much larger issues at hand.
Right.
Um, in his play and probably his dialogue with the team, probably his pacing with the team. Maybe it gets better in the next couple of weeks because they have time to the Gauntlet, but I
Yeah.
don't even think I think they can't even. I'm pretty sure they can't sub anyone else in for the Gauntlet, but even if they can, I know for a fact that neither Acadian or Greg are playing scrims, so doesn't matter.
Right. They're kind of like
Speak
banking
speak
on
is
Spica.
speak is locked in. They decided this is our Hail Mary and we're gonna do it for the next month. So good luck. If you get to Worlds sick, I will not be there with Misfits or well, Optic obviously because they're out. Uh, and Misfits is also out of playoffs, so no chance I get to Worlds like with that team. But who
Right.
knows?
And
Maybe I join a team for Worlds. Who knows?
yeah, you never know, right? They might be like, hey, we need someone. You're just like, all right, sign me
Yeah.
up.
A couple of weeks ago, I tweeted that TSM would smash Rogue. I still think they would smash Rogue, but not as much after how they regressed.
Yeah.
But I will say, LEC teams in the bottom half of the table all play like shit. They
Yeah.
all like they literally play like terribly.
So I want to go into like the comparison of LEC LCS because it's a very hot topic. Obviously, LEC
Yeah.
is the behemoth now after G2 being G2, showing what they can do. So I kind of want to go there and then kind of lead into like maybe some predictions or your takes on the rest of playoffs for LCS and maybe potentially Gauntlet. But yeah, so what are the main differences you've seen within the LEC and LCS, kind of culture wise and scrim wise and stuff?
People aren't afraid to try shit out at all. Swain Volibear bot lanes, like shit like that people are like, oh, it's so boosted, and then they're like, oh, it's actually unplayable. Like, I can't play against this. Like, that's literally things that people did the day after a patch. Whereas in NA, the only team that was ever doing anything like that, especially in like the last split, was GGS actually like willing to like play like different shit in scrims, and they're actually like really strong when we played them in scrims. So I was pretty surprised when they lost against FlyQuest. But if one team is the one experimenting and everyone else is doing the same exact shit as they've been doing for the past month or two, even though the meta is able to change, yeah,
Right.
that's a huge issue. Like there is a huge gap between understanding a patch, using the patch to your advantage, and then like scrimming with it, putting it on stage, etc. There's a lot that can be done
Right.
to fix that, but people aren't afraid to shine. People will make a lot more mistakes mechanically. People will fuck up a lot in lane. Um, Half of the scrims or more are useless in EU, uh, at least in my opinion. And yeah, it's really just like people have no fear, especially like G2's idea of like, dive whenever like it's not dive whenever you want, but they have a specific methodology to what they do and how they think through these things. But a lot of the teams are like willing to try that, right? They're trying to push their limits as well, because they see like how effective it is. But LEC, in my opinion, is a very top 3, bottom 7 region where the top 3 teams, and now it's maybe top 4 with Vitality in the mix, um, are like really separated from the rest of the pack. Um,
Right.
like if you bundle Origin, Rogue, Excel, like Schalke, and all those fucking teams, it's the same thing. Like they're in like the same like group, give or take like a ranking point, right? But
Right.
they're nowhere close to like Splice or Fnatic on like a good day, or G2 on any day. Um,
Yeah.
like it's really separated. Whereas in NA, a lot of teams are like at each other's necks, and anyone can really beat anyone. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's something that we saw this split and last split. Like Juggernauts losing to other teams that they really shouldn't lose to, but because of a specific set of circumstances, like that's able to happen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes like perfect sense, and it's something that even I've had the chance to ask like pros in NA, kind of like, hey, how do you feel? And it's like, yeah, that's like the census of like, yeah, actually, all these teams have gotten better. It's not
It's also
necessarily
after
top teams,
it's 2 years of franchising versus one. First year
right?
franchising, this top teams were set, right? It was Team Liquid, Cloud9, TSM at the end of like their splits, and then I don't even
And
remember.
then
I
yeah, it was like
hundred thieves, right?
Hundred Thieves, yeah,
Hundred
yeah,
thieves
Hundred Thieves. The
last
first
year.
split is perfect, yeah,
Yeah, and then like the rest of the teams are like, who cares, right?
yeah,
Um, Optic was pretty close to getting the playoffs and knocking out TSM or some other shit, right? That those are like the ideas. Like the first year can be really messy. The second year is where things really fall into place, and like
yeah,
teams that are on the bottom, like XL and GGS, are in the same position,
yeah,
right? GGS is mountains better this year than they were last year, and Excel is like probably equal amount in wins as GGS has. Next year it might not be the same, so
right,
it depends on like how franchising moves forward.
yeah, of course, and yeah, it's definitely interesting. So for EU, is your bet on G2 to take it all
G2
again?
winning everything, yeah, G2 is 100%.
Like,
Like
no questions asked.
they're probably like 3-0ing both series.
Record time
Yeah,
again. 70
I
minutes
don't know
over.
about record time, but they will definitely smurf on kids. They have so many advantages against any other team that they play against, from draft and the way they think about draft. Yankos, in my opinion, is the best jungler in the world, if not top 2 or top 3.
Yeah,
Like I really can't think of many junglers that are on his level.
I completely agree.
Um,
Yeah,
um, but he also like he has a very specific challenge he has to deal with, which is the allocation of resources to his team, because everyone can carry it on any given day. Um,
yeah,
and then yeah, I mean it's the supercharged 2016 TSM, right? It's
yeah.
supercharged, right? Like
Just
you got
miles ahead of their competition.
it's the all-star team, but everyone is as good as possible, and your mid laner that was the second best mid laner got the first place mid laner, and the second place mid laner went to the bot lane and completely expanded on a role, especially in a timing where the role got gutted to the point where you can literally play Garen bot lane and not have an issue. um yeah, like
Yep.
Reckless has been spamming it in solo queue and Challenger Elo and in EU West, and he won half his games. So bot lane pretty
Bot
useless.
lane. Yeah.
I would say like it can carry a game, yeah, but the champions and what they can do and like what they're limited by, yeah,
It's kind of like
they
a free for all role.
they can be pretty useless, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. And so let's go back to NA. We have
Mhm.
specific matchups here. Um, Liquid versus wow, I completely
Clutch gaming.
Clutch. Yes, Liquid Clutch, C9 CLG. Who do we see in the finals? Who wins the finals? Do you think it's also Team Liquid just all the way?
TL probably 3-0 CG. They're gonna ban Rumble and pick Gangplank and contest like the Akali picks. 3-1 if like one of the game's drafts goes complete shit, but really should be 3-0. CLG C9 could be a 3-2 or 3-1. I would say if they put it definitely in game one, it's gonna be a 3-1 where they like lose the first or second game and then Sneaky plays and they just completely smash. They have beaten Team Liquid both times this year in this middle of split, and I honestly believe that Cloud9 can beat Team Liquid and win the split. If there's a split to win, it's this one. Just like last split and just like last summer, where people thought they were playing really well and all of a sudden they don't, get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a very close, tight playoff, but I really think that Clutch Gaming is a step below the other three teams. But I
Right.
also think that if CLG plays against Clutch Gaming, that CLG would lose like 3-2. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange playoff because everyone's super competitive with each other, which is a good thing.
Right.
But I think if Team Liquid gets the finals and Cloud9 gets the finals, it's gonna be like 3-1 or 3-2 either way. But I don't see a
Right.
3-0 happening like last year.
Yeah, it's not like as clear of a. And then moving on to the Gauntlet, do you think TSM has any chance with Spica in them?
I mean, I think at this point Cloud9, if Cloud9 wins,
I think
right?
if Cloud9 gets even second place, they're.
No.
Oh yeah,
Let's
yeah.
say let's assume Team Liquid wins a split.
Okay.
What is the minimum points that Cloud9 can have? It's 40 plus the amount that they have already, which is like 70, or
Yeah,
how much do they have right now?
it's like 70 if they get. If they make it to finals, it would be 90, right, or something like that. It's like
Let me look this up. Championship points. Well, actually, how we get to Worlds, right?
yeah.
That was a post. NA Worlds sort by new. Let's go. Field Jar the Void. Sort playoffs, remaining LCF playoff scenarios. Okay, there we go. Thank you, editors. This is the one thing you're useful for. So let's look at the situation. So if TL wins and C9 is second, then NA second sees is C9. The only way that C9 doesn't automatically qualify to Worlds is if they lose, and if the person that they lose to goes. Wait, let me see. NA second seed is. Let me see. It's if TL wins C9, TL wins C9. If TL wins and C9 is third, it's C9. If TL wins and C9 is fourth, CLG promotes because they have 100 points. So wait, so how many points does they have? Cloud9 has the most variance with 4 scenarios. The first seed, 4 is the second, 4 entering the Gauntlet finals, and 2 entering Gauntlet at semis. 2 entering all the way at the very beginning against FlyQuest, which I suppose is kind of fitting. What? How does that? If CG wins, CLG gets second, C9 gets third, TL gets fourth, TL auto qualifies for Worlds, and C9 gets to be in the Gauntlet final. Wait, what the fuck? This is so nuts. C9 gets fourth and TL gets third. C9 is the first round of quarterfinals against FlyQuest before they play against TSM and then CG. Wow. I don't know how this will ever happen, but it's possible.
In some world, it will happen.
Team Liquid is guaranteed Worlds in 15 out of 16 scenarios. Even the final scenario will be placed in the finals of Gauntlet, which is if CG wins, C9 second, CLG third, TL fourth, TL will be in the final. Yeah, so they just have to win something. C9, I think they get to Worlds. Clutch Gaming, no. CLG. If CLG play against TSM, I think TSM wins that. But that's if TSM are in the finals of the Gauntlet. Otherwise, they would have to play against CG or Fly, and they could beat either team. But
with what we've seen,
I have to make predictions, right? Do I assume that TSM can get to a strong point with Spica
within like this month? Yeah. So let's
within a
take like
month? Within a month,
yeah,
versus
because let's just take like the hypotheticals that
days.
they are the last team, right? They are the final boss in the
Okay,
gauntlet.
let's look at who they play. FlyQuest, I think they beat them. CG, I think they can beat them with a month more practice. CLG, I will put TSM over CLG, but by like a hair, like something crosses the screen in game 5 where CLG has a lead, and then all of a sudden Baron got stolen again by Spica, and then they win somehow.
Yeah.
C9 will 100% beat TSM if they ever play against each other. So if I assume that this weekend CLG beats C9, which I don't really see happening, I think C9 goes to World's second seed no matter what. I don't think CG beats TL. I don't think CG. I think TL wins against CG. C9 beats CLG. C9 100% goes to Worlds. TL 100% goes to Worlds. I think CG versus CLG. CG wins, and then let's go to the quarterfinals. So let's say if C9 is second or first, doesn't matter. So it's only dependent on if CG or beats CLG or other way around. So I said CG beats CLG, right? That means Gauntlet quarterfinal is Fly versus CLG. I think CLG wins that. Gauntlet semi, I think CLG will change whatever they fucked up in against Clutch Gaming and win that. And then TSM is in the Gauntlet final, which I said before TSM beats CLG. And with that many games of scouting, TSM really should beat CLG because like they saw at least like 15 games.
Yeah, they would have seen a lot.
I think in that specific scenario, it's CLC9 TSM goes to Worlds. And TSM is gonna look half decent, but probably not just take Spica to Worlds.
Yeah, would probably be wise.
But that's the one case I see.
Yeah.
TSM going to Worlds, so I can see TSM going to Worlds. But if CLG beats C9 and C9 still auto qualifies for Worlds, so CLG plays in the Gauntlet final, I think CLG beats TSM. Okay, so there's my prediction.
All right, yeah, no,
TL and
that's
C9
solid.
going to Worlds 100%, and depending on who wins Gauntlet, who places where in the Gauntlet semis and final.
That's the third seed. All right, yeah, no, that's pretty fair.
Yeah, if CLG gets second in regulars in the playoffs, I think they win and go to Worlds. If they place third or fourth, they will go and lose to TSM. They go in the final, and TSM goes to Worlds. Yep.
All right.
And there we go. Predictions. That was pretty hard.
hey, we got it though.
Everyone's so close together, and no one's impressing me.
Yeah,
that's the issue. No one is impressing me at all.
Yeah, it's literally like you said. It's literally TL C9, and then everyone else is a mess, and you're just like, yeah, we'll go with TSM if they're placed higher. I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Again, the whole aspect, but I mean, I think that kind of like covers everything, right? One last question for you: if anyone out there, whether it be Reddit, whether it be YouTube, whether it be SoundCloud, whatever, they see this, they're like, how the fuck do I become a data analyst? What tips, what advice do you give them? Obviously not oversharing so they don't compete against you, but kind of like, what's the right path for someone that wants to get into the field?
Go to developer.riotgames.com.
developer.riotgames.com.
Yeah, that's where all the APIs are. And don't be afraid to reach out. Like, I can offer services to like teach, but I can also just guide you on where to go and how to
Yeah.
learn, like how to like manipulate an API and pull data and shit like that. But data analysis isn't about pulling raw data, in my opinion, because then it would just be you'd just be doing data mining. Data analysis
Yeah.
is understanding how it helps you and how you can translate what you find to someone else. So when you come up with a match history of a player and they're playing certain things, why are they using this mastery in this matchup? If you are able to watch on ProView or something like that, there's a lot more detail that goes into it. So the more you can offer, the more you can make sense for an org to sign you, because that is the difference between you who can do that and extrapolate information and communicate it in a meaningful and concise manner to the right individual versus someone else that can pull the data just like you and is willing to take a cheaper paycheck plus is someone's cousin, right? So
Yeah.
there's that's really it. It's all about what you can offer. And like people say like, "Oh, make content." Seriously, make content, make yourself a data portfolio, drag as much information as you can out. And yeah, if you still have issues, DM me on Twitter and I will try to help you out whenever I have free time.
Yeah. That's
Whenever that is.
whenever that 1 hour you decide not to play a solo queue, you're just helping out this one person.
Yeah, I mean it's 1 a.m. right now
Yeah.
in New York, and I still haven't like taken time to myself.
Yeah. But
Yeah, today was a long one.
yeah, I mean, one can imagine. But no, it was awesome. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and you know, hope Misfits ends the split on a good note.
I mean the boys are chilling.
The
Boys
boys
are
are
chilling.
chilling. It's
I
just
just I just want them to pop off this week and have a good weekend.
yeah, of
That's my
course.
like one goal for them.
Yeah, of
Have a
course.
sick fucking weekend, and then do whatever the fuck you want in off season. Um,
As one does.
yeah, off season is gonna be pretty interesting for
Yeah.
Misfits and for a lot of teams. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I at least feel way more secure than I did when TSM ended. So I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
In the
Yeah,
wind.
there you go. No, but yeah, thank you so much for joining us. With that, we will end the podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed it. You know, Albert's Twitter information is right below his little box thing. In case you are listening, though, it's Albert P COH at Albert P COH, if I am not
Yeah,
mistaken. All right, awesome.
yeah.
And then yeah, cheer on Misfits. You know, we'll see if Albert's predictions are wrong. If they're wrong, just flame it on Twitter.
If they're wrong, I will just drink more soju and be sad that C9 didn't make it to Worlds or something.
Yeah, they reached
If
that
C9
one
doesn't make it
scenario.
to Worlds, I will fucking lose my shit because they're
They're
so
pretty
good.
much locked in. It's
Like it's so hard for them to get out. Same thing with Team Liquid. I
oh
don't
my
know.
god, that would be insane. But yeah, no, thank you so much. And with that, we will end the podcast.